Good evening, and good evening to all of our friends on the internet. I'm Peter, and on behalf of City Lights, I want to welcome you to the very first event in store in the Poetry Room since the pandemic started. And I can't think of a better occasion than celebrating this fabulous new book by Ayize Jama-Everett, Heroes of an Unknown World, which is the final installment in the Liminals Series. We're very excited about that. Small Beer Press is co-sponsoring tonight, as is Medicine for Nightmares. And if you're in town, those of you who are watching online, come on down to the Mission to 24th Street. Medicine for Nightmares is a wonderful, wonderful cultural space, performance center, but most of all, another bookstore, and they do a wonderful, wonderful job. So go down there, check it out. And we are honored to have them in the house tonight. We have Tân Khánh Cao, who is the co-owner of Medicine for Nightmares, doing the honors. And I want to remind everybody online, we are posting links with which you may purchase books. So please do check them out. We've got a full line of books. We've got all four tonight. So please do chow down on those books. And I'm going to turn it over now to Ayize, who's going to read a little bit, and then we're going to go into a talk. So welcome, everyone, and good to see you all.
Thank you so much. And, thank you, everybody. And just thank you for sitting. Thanks, Tom. Awesome. I'll tell you a story about Tom later. These for City Lights books, this was Scott is legendary for me as a baby writer, not even a baby writer, as a reader. I read about this place. When I first came to San Francisco, I was like 2 months away out of it. Ashbury and City Lights. Ashbury disappointed me entirely. City Lights has never disappointed me. Not for 1 second. Something magical about a bookstore. And this bookstore that's been listening Poland just amazing town. I love this place. So thank you so much for letting me. Heroes of Another World is the last in a series that when I started writing it, I didn't have to look at the page like this. Let me see if I can read it now. Because it's the end of the series, I don't want to give away too many spoilers. I'm just going to read from the first part of it. Maybe we'll talk for a little bit. I'm going to read some more of that few sections. This is from the beginning. The wind is still. It only whispers nonsense and shouts. We live in motion, children of the wind. The souls it doesn't need and has abundant access to. We are one, all the children of forevers, forgotten when those remembered. You've seen us, forgotten us, called on us to keep the secrets, and banished us like the precious messages we wish to forget. Some of us, like me, were once like you, human, made of flesh and substance, but still, not still, but also soon. You may remember me as I remember what your world once was. And you can see me and you call me AC, and a child of the wind. But now, the wind is still. Do you remember the Liminals? Taggert, the broken healer? His is the closest to a human tale, so his life you may remember. Servant to Nordine, the petulant ghost of the Liminals, grandfather and assassin to a younger generation. It was Taggert who broke free of Nordine to rescue his love, Yasmin, and her daughter, his daughter, Tamara, from a life of shadow work and death. He only partially succeeded. In Taggert's world, Yasmin died. He saved Tamara from the breaker of bones and man. For a moment, Taggert had peace. Can you recall the animal totem liminal, Prentice? Taggert's adopted daughter. For her, he defied time, space, and a god. Save the girl even broke with the liminal acolyte of the god of connection, Samantha, who brings a gift of visions to other worlds with the nearest touch. He even managed to convince Miko to travel back in time with him to aid the girl. Miko overturely expected more. His god, the underground tuber that grew for a millennium before the first dinosaur egg was hatched, the one the desert dwellers tried to call Mana, chose Louverture as the vascular connections of humanity flesh. His was the chance to steward a new age of connection between man and God and beast. Miko's allies formed in his time as a DJ, Japulo, an adopted father Munji, and the smuggler Queen Fatima, who primed to form a trinity of connection with the body of Nana Elohim. Instead, he allowed himself to be seduced by Taggert's mission for friendship and family, and joined in to save the lost women. In doing so, Miko left his own timeline vulnerable. All of creation has an opposite number, and the liminals are no different. Cosmic tautologies that speak their existence from the maw of nothingness. The altars were the form of beautiful humans to advance the most inhumane agendas. The joining of all life with entropy. It's not their cause, it's their reason for existence. If they drew breath, entropy would exhale. In the hinterland of their time, Taggert and his liminal brood, with Miko in tow, ended the semblance of life their leader, Kothar, had. The timeline paid the cost. For no altar ever took a straight line to decay. From a rearguard stance, Kothar spawned such as the kind reproduces. Rice found a way to take over the current time-space. He erased the old world and created Taggert and his circle of liminals and recreated the ones of the dead, diminishing the power of the nun and by extension Miko. He chose Baron, Taggert's brother, warped version of Yasmin, Tamara's mother, and a thoroughly corrupted Samantha to be the figureheads of a global aesthetic reach. And somewhere in the shadows of this new world, where Dean, who shows nothing, controls everything, and lives to pervert the good, lies in wait. A confession now. Taggert and his ilk I call friends. When they can remember me, they do so as an ally. I once loved a liminal named Chabi. We, lost her to the manipulations of Rice and the rat mother altar Poppy. Trained by the altar Narayana, Chabi knew the entropy of bones, a martial technique that could end even the densely powerful corpses of the altars. I could not save her body, only her soul. I bound it to a ship and let her sail in between worlds as a thanks for saving what was left of my life. It was this child of the wind who rescued Miko, Taggert, Prentice, and Tamara from being stuck in their own paths. It was this child of the wind who brought them to the new present and sheltered them in an old theater in London. It was this child of the wind who refused to let their spirits die despite all that had been leveled against them. It is against my nature as a child of the wind that entropy is the end of all movement and the wind must always be free. This child of the wind takes responsibility for the chaos his liminal friends inflict upon this impacted, infected, unknown world. This child of the wind does not take responsibility for the actions of Miko Louverture no more. I cautioned against the entropy blades he forged for Taggert, against the trip back in time that fractured the present reality, to his partnership with the so-called reformed altar Narayana. It is the nature of the children of the wind to know but not to be listened to. Cassandra was one of us. Even so, dealing with Miko is as annoying as sin. From the safety and shelter I provided, Miko has convinced Taggert to accompany him to rescue a human mentor, the Rastafari Bingi man, from the prison of Portsmouth on the island of Jamaica. They barely escaped with their lives, but have also exposed their existence to the altars. All for a human who doesn't even remember them. Miko continues to act as though he is in his reality and not a forgotten world. He will learn, as will all the liminals, soon enough. Share the room. Awesome.
It's famous.
Hi.
Hi.
Where do you want me to start?
Whatever you say.
Whatever I
Yeah,
say.
I'm gonna do what you do.
Okay.
Wait, can I do one thing then?
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, I wrote the second or third thing I read it book. What's it called? The Entropy of Bones. And I described this character, Chabi, that I talked about before. And then I can't remember what happened. I think you emailed me or something, and I hadn't met Tom before. And then we met. And I looked at her and I was like, oh snap, that's Chabi right there. And then I think, Tom, you had a similar experience in reading the book, yeah?
I recognized a lot of people. I recognized a lot of maybe feeling of existing in a kind of space that's on this edges and multiple edges at the same time in different places. And I think you do too.
Yes.
And in reading them all together now, because I think before this, the last one was like 2015.
Yeah.
So I read all of them again and had this sense of like deja vu with them all, which just only makes it better. So how does this, it's okay, so it's science fiction, right? But there's a lot of truth in this, I think, and like I recognize some of the, not specifically like that's that guy and that's that guy, but like I think we live in a city where the alters have been in control for a while, and maybe you could talk about that a little bit, or does that ring any bells?
Yeah. I got the term liminal people from Franz Fanon. I think it was a Black Skin, White Mask. He said people of color, black people, no, I'm not using that. Black people were liminal people in that we are always also occupying multiple spaces at the same time in different ways. And then when I kind of like took a spiritual kind of stance on that, I saw like, all the people that I've grown up with, black, white, Asian, whatever, always navigating like multiple things at the same time, navigating multiple classes, multiple nationalities, multiple languages, and we did it all so much that we forgot that it was a skill. We thought it was like a norm, right? And then there was just these cats that were like, didn't have to navigate shit. I hope I can swear, if not, I'm in trouble. There were these folks that just like demanded that the world do what they thought was right, even if we knew they were wrong. And on one level, it was attractive because it was like, oh, that's power, right? And then on this other level, I was like, but you suck. You suck at life, and you suck at like community, and you suck at like talking to people, and you suck at like navigating. Like you can't, it's like, and it just takes, my thing was always like, if you were in an ocean, you would demand that the waves did what you said, and it doesn't work like that, right? It just doesn't. Like if I'm in the ocean, I'm like, okay, I gotta go where the waves tell me. Right? But I'm gonna still try and find my way through. So for me, the altars were that. They were like, and that was the thing, like everybody like loved those people. Like, the Elon Musks of the world, or like, this tech fucking, this bowing to the altar of tech. It's just like, oh well, they said it's true, so it must be, and they made an app, so it must be right. And I'm like, shut the fuck You know, like, if I drop you in the middle of certain neighborhoods, you're gonna cry. You're gonna literally cry. If I bust your phone, you're gonna cry. You know, but I know there's a lot of people, if it's like, hey man, yo, you know, hey, I don't know anybody here. Yo, hey, how you doing? You all right? Cool. Hey, do me a favor, man. Can you help me get out of here? Because I'm kind of fucked up right now. You know, like, those are kind of my people. Those are those liminal people that know how to navigate spaces. And those like pretty people, those people in power, to me, that's kind of like the altars.
And so it seems to me that also the liminal people all have connections to things in the natural world. Which is kind of like, there's an unnatural world too now.
Right.
Okay. And there's the altars that you've been talking about on this plane too, and they're like wanting to destroy that, right? And the people who are connected with that, while also trying to use that natural, the power and the connection that those other people have to that, to aid in their destruction of that.
Yeah.
That's more of a statement than a question.
No, I mean, I hear you. Like, that internalized oppression is real. You know what I mean? Like, we all believed in ourselves, if us liminal people, however you want to define it, like believed in ourselves fully, like, and understood our own power, they couldn't be fucking with us. But like, the big trick is for us to question ourselves in an unhealthy way. Like, the big trick is for us to be like, oh, I'm not really that powerful. I'm not really that smart. I'm not really that cool. And once they got that, they're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna show you what real power is. I'm gonna show you real cool. And to me, that's unnatural. To me, that's a problem. So, yeah, I mean, you know, in the books, the power of the alternate is entropy, right? The end of all things, the slowing of the universe, the coolness, the reason matches go out. That's where their power exists. And I think, yes, like that is like the trajectory, that is the mapped trajectory of everything, right? And so then the question becomes, where does generativity come from then? How is it that we're able to create anything? How is it that life exists if shit is going in that direction? And that nugget, that magic, I think that's one thing that saves.
Okay, so I don't know where exactly I was reading this, maybe somewhere on one of the books. But part of your I don't know, history or research, or not research, but you know, part of where you're drawing the liminal from, working with young people, in a certain capacity, multiple capacities, and like, it sounded to me like young people who, like so many young people, right, have a really fucking hard, excuse me. So the, you know, the things that young people in themselves, I think, have to cultivate and hang on to their, in a way, specialness, their connection to something that is powerful in themselves that nobody else can see, probably nobody acknowledges until maybe eventually someone does. And that connected with, like, in a way, living in, there's time travel in here, there's multiple dimensions, which one could see as like a far journey or just a journey inside the self. And I guess I connect that to how a lot of people, especially artists in my experience, come from that as a young person. And then how that develops with sometimes skill as people get older, and what they can do with that together.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you get that skill to cultivate that specialness when you're young. I remember I was going through a time, a friend of mine, an older woman friend of mine, was like, "Do you realize that you would not have survived if they knew how special you were when you were younger?" And I was like, "Oh shit." Okay. And so like a lot of my resentment and a lot of my anger from like the way that I was treated growing up, I was just kind of like, okay, that needs to go. Like that was like protection in a fucked up way, but it was still protection. So that's why like Liminal People, if you read that, is a very complicated paternal relationship in there that doesn't get resolved easily because parenting isn't easy. Second of all, being a child isn't easy. Third of all, like nobody gets it right. There's no right. There's good enough, hopefully, but like there's no right. And I think for me, with all of these books, my sort of orientation is like, the people that have been hurt, the people that have been like bruised, the people that have been like forgotten, the people that have been ignored, those are my people. And I'm never gonna let that go, not because I'm like addicted to sadness, but because like there's magic in that. Like if you're still alive after all of that, that's the magic. And so that's where the otherworldly parts for me are. It's like, fuck, like you survived that shit? Yo, we got powers. Fuck the X-Men, you're the shit.
Right, and then so how about liminal spaces created by liminal people?
Yeah.
Now, or in our world here.
I work a lot with psychedelics. Sounds like some of you do too. And what psychedelics have taught me a lot of things. But one of the things that they've taught me is that, another world, another dimension, whatever, it's not that far away, right? And, I grew up with like, people getting initiated into this community and that community and had chicken sacrificed over my head and seeing, spirits take over people's bodies. And that was just normal. I was like, oh my God, this is insane. I was like, that's Saturday. That's religion. That's what it is. Like what? Like I'm not tripping on that, right? I think there's this this call to rationality, this call to logic, this call to reason has been overdetermined, right? And so now it seems strange that people can get together and slow time down, right? It seems strange that like you can like literally like walk in somebody's house and be in a different dimension, right? It's like, oh shit, how's that happen? It's like, no, that's what we're supposed to do. Like that's what art is, right? Art is not for the sake of observation, it's for the sake of experience, right? So like, yeah, we do this, we feel this, we experience this on a regular basis, and then what happens is when we have to interpret it in a logical frame, it's seen as wrong, it's seen as schizophrenic, it's seen as yada yada. Which is not to say there isn't like real mental health issues and real crises, but I think a lot of those crises come out of this like forever recall to reason and logic. And we are not built for that. Like human beings are not built for that. If you don't believe me, just look at bars. Like, why are there so many bars? Because people need to be like, yo, I need to not think for a second, right? And in this country, the United States, I don't know where you guys are. In the United States, one of the few acceptable ways of altering your consciousness is with alcohol, right? But like, why can't it be with some ayahuasca or with some DMT or with some MDMA or with some, like why is this for me? And there's reasons why. Whatever. I teach a course on it for no. There's reasons behind it, but I feel like the like altered state of consciousness like, that leads to those liminal places, those in-between places, and I think we need to tap into them in order to be fully healthy human beings.
Okay, so I noticed too in Heroes of an Unknown World in particular, Michael is he in the other books at all? No, I don't remember, because it's all one thing to me now. Oh, yeah, he's with the kid.
Yeah.
He's the kid's friend.
Well, yeah, he's in the Liminal War. Yeah.
So, can you talk about the music in this book and like how? Because I was looking for. I was like, okay, is there actual footage of Bob Marley singing "Hellhound on My Trail"? Like maybe he didn't make that up.
I love that question.
And maybe you didn't. I didn't find it. But the music in it, not just you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then you or Michael is mixing this like. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. There are very few people in here who remember my DJ days. There are a few. And this is like a perfected version of what I was trying to do in those days. But, music is, again, that transported place, that transported time, that like transported feeling. Like, how do you get that in like 2.3 seconds? You put on the right song, it's a different world, right? And so the music that I put in here, was music of a time. And I realize that looking back now, I'm like, I still like I would put more music in if I could. But it's also, like I was listening to a director talk about like why they put certain music in their movie. And he's like, I want people to have the same emotional response to the music that I do. And so it's like, he framed it in a certain way. I don't know, maybe I should have been like a music writer at some point, but like, that's what I wanted to try and do. Like, just really give, just be humble and give love to the music and to the sounds that like literally saved my life, like changed who I am as a person. I mean, even in terms of the Bob Marley thing, he did sing Hellhound on My Treble. One of the things the Wailers used to do before they ever got big is they used to sing in the graveyard at midnight. And it was a way of confronting your fear, right, and calling in spirits, right? And that's why, Bob Marley, like towards the end of his career, he's in Zimbabwe at the national, like the Independence Day, as well. Crowds are going nuts. They're shooting tear gas everywhere. The Wailers run off stage. Bob Marley's still there, still singing. He's like, now I see who's with me, right? Like, when you're tapped in, I don't care if you're a writer, if you're a musician, if you're a painter, whatever. If you're really tapped in, death is like whatever, yo. Like this is the thing that will carry past death, And so all of the artists in here, all the writers in here, they have kept me going, and even past their death, their songs still ring out. They say you die twice: once when your body dies, and the second time when no one remembers your name. And with singing like that, music like that, they may live forever.
Bob Marley's a liminal person.
Yes.
And so since you brought up your DJ days, in reading these things, I'm just like, Japuba, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Back in the day. Still at the hoodie somewhere. Yeah, I mean, love music. I was doing a lot of drum and bass and jungle stuff when I was younger, in the UK and in Morocco, just like other clubs and stuff. Did a little bit over here, not that much. But yeah, it's just, I was thinking about it the other day, I was like, shit, I'm not listening to enough music. I've been off for like the past couple of weeks, just dealing with life and shit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not listening to enough. I'm generating too much. I need to take it in.
I got on a roll because of you. That's night was great. I almost made a mixtape.
Yeah, you sent me something. You like this?
I did. I was like, you got a something, the playlist, or where's the mixtape? And then I started looking for stuff. You want to talk about anything else, or take some questions, and then I'll probably think of something.
Okay, yeah, we can take some questions.
It takes about 30 seconds. It's a delay.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm afraid that I came in a little bit late. Can you tell me the title of the book you're discussing?
Sure, it's called Heroes of an Unknown World.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
You know, this has been a long process in this series. Was it challenging to bring it to a close? I'm assuming it was. But what was the most helpful part in bringing it to a close?
Do you have to repeat the question?
If you would, thank you.
Yeah, so it's been a long series, so what was like the most helpful part in bringing it to a close? Honestly, getting older, and like, I feel like the characters earned a rest. You know, like you create a narrative and it's like you have to have conflict. They have to go through shit. You know, and I'm like, I just want Taggert to be able to like chill out. It's enough, man. Like how much? Because I put my people through stuff. You know, like they'd be walking out bloody and bruised, and you know. So I just want them to rest. And then there's other stories that I have to tell. There's other things. There's other narratives. I got another book coming out, I think next year, called Yodi and Kavita. We've got a graphic novel, Box of Bones. The first part is out now. Second part is coming out later this year. Got another graphic novel, The Last Count of Monte Cristo, an Afrofuturist version of the Count of Monte Cristo. That's coming out later this year. Like I had to there's more to say. There's more to do. I love this. I always love this. I always love Small Beer for this. I always love City Lights for this. I always love the people that I've met doing this. I mean, you know, but like the first one of people was a self-published, interesting piece of work initially that I was fortunate enough that Small Beer picked up and actually published and actually put out. But like that was like winning a prayer sort of stuff, you know. And now that I'm a little more established, I've got more stories to tell and other narratives. So, you know, when I was young, I played as a child, and I was a child, and I was a child. As I grew up, you know, I put away the childish things. I won't say this is childish, but it's definitely of an age. Yeah.
I'm struck by how cinematic your books are. Was that intentional, or is that like an effect of your process coming through?
It's a good question. It was the books are cinematic. Is that on purpose, or was that like an effective like process? Yeah, you know, I think it's like you play to your strengths. And I think at the time, like the visual and the action was where I was at, you know, so the strength. It's funny though, because someone was like, one reviewer was like, there's a lot of talking in this for a superhero book. And I was like, what? Like zing, bang, bow? Like, come on, man. But, so yeah, so that was kind of like the narratives. And you know, full disclosure, I grew up reading comic books. I still read comic books. I read comic books every week, right? So that kind of informed my narrative style, my narrative sense. But like, as I'm developing, I hope, as a writer, there are other things that are kind of called in. Like even the part that I read, right? Like feels more poetic than it does like what's been done in the past. You know, like what Liminal People was. I mean, Liminal People was like crime noir meets like superhero, like you know, and like Liminal War was like a little bit more expansive. You know, Entropy of Bones is like trans memoir, but like you know, Tim's like, no, stop, shut up, stop telling me about my business. But like, you know, so like now, like being exposed to more and reading different types of stuff and reading different authors, like I'm like, oh, you can do this on the page. Oh, you can do that on the page. All right, let me try this. Let me try that. So that's what I've been doing.
Do you want to talk about love a little bit? Because in these books, you actually, I mean, it's right, cinematic superheroes. Like somebody on my way up told me to break a leg, and I was like, watch what you say. But you get pretty deep with about love in these books, and what that is, not just like romantic love. It's like, but what love is, and like it's not all pretty. And it's beautiful. The way you talk about love in these books, I think it's beautiful. It's quiet, it's kind of subtle, it's not heavy hit, but it's in other words, it's real and nuanced and like simple and complicated, difficult, confusing, easy.
Yeah, you know how I get to it. Yeah, I mean, saying a lot about myself, but it's like for me, if I love someone, it's uncomfortable because it's like, oh fuck, that means like I'm riding with you until period. In a sense, it's like I'm riding with you. So like you're doing good, I'm doing good, you're doing bad. I'm like, okay, how do I help? I'm doing bad, I'm still loving you. Right? We're both doing bad, I'm still loving you. You hate me, I'm still loving you. Right? And then like, forget romantic love. Like forget like, whatever that is, like paternal love, like familial love, right? The more people that you love, the more you're exposed on some level. And the only protection you have is for that love to be reciprocated. And then you form this thing that's like both vulnerable and powerful at the exact same time. And everybody's gotta pay attention because one person can sink the whole fucking ship. Two people can sink the whole fucking ship. If you got one person just trying to hold that love together, that can all come down. So like if everybody is actually aware of like, oh no, we are a loving group. Not you poly people, that's great, that's not what I'm talking about. Nothing against it, that's not what I'm talking about. But like if you have like fan love and it's like everybody's like, rooting for each other, the successes go together and the failures go together as well. And the only consistency is that like you hold on to each other because in the end that's all you got. So like the characters in this book, like literally, I mean, spoiler, they lose in the Winter War. Like they don't win. They're in this new book. They are in heroes of an unknown world. They're in an unknown world. Everything else is gone. Everything is darker. Everything is colder. Colors are not as bright. And the only thing that they have is each other. And what I love about it for them is they're like, yup, we got each other. You got that? Yeah, cool, let's move on, what's next? Right? There's no questioning on that. There's no like, but what if, or maybe they don't love me. Nah, we got that part. We got to figure out the rest of the world. And I just feel like there's something magical about that.
We have a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Tying into the influence of comics on the series, was there anything that you specifically aimed at to make an homage to, or was there something intentionally that you tried to avoid?
Do you have to repeat the question?
Yes. Tying into the influence of comics.
Oh, no, I heard you, but do I have to put it in here?
Oh, yes.
Tying into the influence of comics, was there anything that I was intentionally trying to avoid or intentionally trying to pay homage to?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like one, maybe an Incredible Hulk reference in there, or in the first one, there's definitely more like explicit hero, like superhero stuff. I think it's an unavoidable correlation when people talk about comic books, they talk about superheroes. When people talk about people with powers, they generally refer to comic books and they generally refer to superheroes. But those three things don't have to go together, right? There are all different types of comic books out there. Not all of them are superhero comics. Not everybody with, and this is the big, I think, moral issue, not everybody that has powers is good or bad. Like for me, the liminal people, what I like about it is like, this is people with powers. I promise you, if I had powers, I would not be running around stopping crime. That criminal probably has something that they need to get done. And I want to give them the space to get that done. I don't know their life. They may really need that money from the bank. I don't know. That's not what I would be doing. So what do you do with extraordinary ability? And I think that's something, especially that live in the US, that's a really big question. I mean, we are more privileged than 98.2%, made it up, of the world, right? We have more power. We have more ability to do shit than most of the world. Somebody the other day I heard, they were like, how much do you pay your slaves? Somebody's like, I don't have slaves. Did you make your pants? Did you make your breakfast? Did you put your ladder? So people did that, right? Just because you don't see them doesn't mean they are not working for you for a very low amount of money. That's power. The ability to control another's labor is power. So what do you do with that power? It's a question that I deal with on a regular basis. And I feel like the characters in here are we are in a position of power and we are going to take responsibility for that power and do things to hopefully make this world a better place. Knowing full well we might screw up.
Which reminds me, you also in the different dimensions, traveling through time, different possible versions of different people, and then power, right? Not that the kind of power that special powers, right? That kind of connection to things, and how there's choice, and how choice or circumstance affects somebody in another, most of the characters actually in different, it's like a different version of you in this time. Oh, she didn't do that. She got married and stuff like that. She didn't want to do that. She didn't hurt nothing. She's not hurting anything. So you talk about that too, right?
Yeah. So in the book, Taggert, the main character, meets an alternative version of his former love. That's what you're talking about, right?
Well, yeah, that and there's Aaliyah, there's Chavi.
Yeah.
There's and there's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
So what it's about is who do you hold, are you held accountable for former versions of yourself? Right? There are people who have known me long enough to know a few versions of myself. It's funny because two of them are sitting right next to each other, so, back to back. It's unnerving, but I'm gonna keep going. And are you always proud of who you were? Right? But are you still responsible for who you were? I used to think yes, 100% who you were is a direct line to who you are, and yada yada yada. As I'm getting older, I feel like I'm being a little kinder to myself, and so maybe I can be kinder to the rest of the world. And understand that people go through changes, and it's not a linear progression. That 5-6 years you may be an asshole, right? And 3 or 4 years you might be a saint, and then another 6 or 7 years you might be an asshole again. That that's just life. It's not. Right? There's no responsibility. What I think is you don't owe. It was stirring. I was what I think is you don't owe fidelity to your former self. You get to change. People get to change. I think that's what I was trying to get across a little bit here. That just because this is who this character was or is in this form world doesn't mean that this is who they have to be in the future. Everybody gets to change, and then you get to react to that, right? Because who we are is not some rugged individual thing, this is who I am, and no one else can say. No, we live in community, right? So if I was an asshole to you 6 or 7 years ago, if now I'm no, I'm a different person, you'd be no, you're an asshole. And I have to deal with that. Right? The characters have to deal with that. Taggert has to deal with that. Taggert was an asshole. Taggert killed people. Taggert, murdered children. Right? And now he's sitting here trying to, judge other people. And, luckily there's people around him who are yo, Playboy, slow down. That's not the way it goes. I am just feeling so 80s right now. This is stirring. I just knew my songs.
We have another question in the chat. Which characters do you like writing the most versus the least, and why?
So which characters do I like writing the most and the least, and why? I'm gonna go specific. I'm telling you, they know me. There's no mistakes. There's no mistakes in the universe.
They only cost $20.
I'm gonna do it. I discovered Prentice's voice in this. Prentice is like the only white main character in this book. And people like forget that about her. But I discovered her voice in this book, and I dug it. I dug her. She is the one who is like the heart of the group. And she is the one who was like, oh no, the love is, like, these guys went through time and hell for me. No, there's no, yeah, no, I ride for them. I die for them, period, in the sentence. What's up? Like, and doesn't let the misery of the time and the space get to her. And that was really useful for me while I was writing this. This was kind of done before COVID, but like, it's going through shit. It was down in Riverside, California. Interesting place. I'll be there tomorrow. And like, needed some hope to hold on to. So I like writing characters that give me something that I don't have. Characters that I don't like writing, basic. Just like no qualitative changes in them the entire time through. I just find them boring unless like I like that essential element about them. Yordine is that character for me in this. Like, he is just, oh man, it's just a dark mystery, and there's no clarity on him. There never will be any clarity on him. He just is what he is, and I like that. But other than him, I don't like writing characters like him.
You gonna wrap?
Yeah, like 10 more minutes? You can wrap. You have questions, comments? Yes, sir.
And in the same line as the question that was asked, what is a character, and you kind of touched on it, because I was gonna actually say it this way. What is one of the characters that you miss writing, that you're not writing about anymore? And why is it the count?
So the question was, I'm gonna stop it right before you did. Which character do I miss writing the most? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Take this person. I really miss Chabi. Like, I initially didn't write her as part of the Liminal People. I just wrote her as a standalone book. And then towards the end, it was, like, I'm not one of those writers that like knows what's happening as they're writing. Like, it's almost like channeling. I'm like, okay, let's just see what happens. And I'm like, okay. And so like, I was like, okay, this happened. It's like, oh, this is a liminal book. She's this little piece with Nico in there. I was like, okay, cool. And I was writing, and I was like, and I remember being like, she's gonna die, right? And I was like, no. And I stopped writing for like 4 days. I was like, no, no. She's good. Like, no. And then I was like, no, like, it's one of the, see, I'm sorry. This is what happens when you try and kill Charlie. A piece of writing advice, which feel free to ignore, because I ignore all writing advice, is kill your darlings. And I was like, yeah, she gotta go. And so I gave her the best send-off that I could. Spoiler alert, she comes back. But you know, her book, her voice, her tone, that time, talk about music, right? Like that book is like all about music and dance. And but yeah, I really miss that like simple, slimmed down, like, you know, I think the way I write, people do it differently, but the way I write is kind of like almost like a monk. Like I kind of like go in a little cave and I'm like, okay, let's just get this thing done. And like Chabi like had like rose petals on her cave, and she was like, this is mine. She was like a monk, you know, and I just was jealous of her space and like visiting her in that space. And when that book was done, I was I wrote Women of War right after it because I was like, I just had to write something to forget about this girl that I love so much.
We have another question in the chat. Out of the main protagonists, are there any, if they were real people, do you think that you'd not like as people or be friends with?
The question was how many of but which of any of the protagonists in the book would I not like or not be friends with? You ever have that friend that like will forever just get in a bar fight? Like you just can't go out with them, and then like what'd you say? And you're like, no, dude, no, that's the waitress. Like it's not that serious. That's how I feel about like younger Taggert. I feel like he chilled out. Tamara Bridgecombe is a bit of a hothead, but like just way too confident. Like confident in that, like, yeah, I can fuck you all up right now. And you're just like, yeah, but why do you have to say that? Like what? Like just know that and be okay. I think Prentice would be like I could hang with Prentice, she'd be cool. But yeah, all of them, they're dangerous people. They're dangerous people. I think that's I grew up around dangerous people. You know, I grew up around people that would cut you for no reason. I grew up around people that like did not feel safe. You know, like they didn't feel safe, and so no one felt safe around them. I think that's kind of the vibe that I was trying to project with them. So I would know them. I would probably love them. If they were like, yo, let's go out, I'd be like, I'm gonna stay home. But you guys have fun. Let me know how that goes for you. I got your bail money. It's one time.
Will it totally spoil something if I ask you, because I don't think it's really in there, but Dean's actual weaknesses? I ask this because it does seem that you, like often is the case, I mean, he is like he's this mystery, like what can he do, actually? What can't he do? I don't know what he can do. I don't know what he can't do.
Mission accomplished.
Okay? But I know that he's hiding his vulnerability. It's right there, and it's fucking big. And nobody knows what it is, and nobody's even thinking, what is it exactly?
I'll tell you. Yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
It's Taggert. Taggert says it at the beginning of the end of the first book. He's like, you love me.
It's love.
And he's like, shut up, I don't love you. Yeah, you ugly and stupid. I'll see you later. Ah. He's like, yeah, but you love me.
That's right.
Right? And that's the thing. It's like, I'm not a hippie. I swear to God, I'm not a hippie, but like, love beats all. You know, like, but like, that's the thing. Like, if, you know, like, it's kind of like that complicated relationship. Like, you have a freaking evil, dirty, bad person. If they love somebody, there's a vulnerability for them that they're like, oh, I can't be the evil, bad person that I was because I'm gonna protect you in some way, you know. And like, that's the thing with Nordine. It's like he wants to just rage. He wants to just like and like 9 days out of 10 he will. And even with Taggert, he'll be like, ah, but then Taggert's like, stop, be loud. You know, like just trying to get him. So yeah, I think that's his big vulnerability. But like, yeah, what can you do? I'll tell you, okay, the series is over, so this is what I can tell you. Okay? I think he just, I think he has a little something that he has just traded for different things from different people. He has found ways to negotiate. I don't think he has very much power in and of himself. I think he negotiates, bargains, steals, traps other people's powers, other people's gifts. Not necessarily through like magical means, but just through the art of being a cunning bastard. Right? Like when we first meet Samantha, right? She's enslaved to him. She can see other worlds. How is it that she got enslaved to him?
I wondered that about a lot of people. It's just like, what is he doing? What?
Exactly.
What?
Come on.
Vision of Oz? What? Let's pull the curtain back. He's sitting on the toilet with a bunch of smoke or what? What's going on? Okay.
Okay, honestly.
But it's real. That power is real, too.
That's how I feel about pimps.
Ah.
When I was a kid, seeing pimps, I was like, I do not understand this. You are wearing the weirdest clothes on the planet. You got a furry hat on. These women are beautiful, capable. How are they giving you money? And then what would they say? They would say some shit that didn't make sense. Well, you know, a dime ain't nothing to a pimp. What? You know, hoes gotta give what hoes gotta give. What are you saying? They would talk for hours and I would not understand. I was like, I've sat down with pimps and been like, tell me how you get this to happen. And well, you know, man, I get it to be showed, not told. You know, what? No, it doesn't make any sense. So that's like, I think at one point I referred to him as like a power pimp in the first book. It's that sort of thing. That's what I think. But like I said, it's like half creative, half channel. So could be something else. I don't know if y'all can hear it back there, but there's like the music playing this whole time. It's really fascinating. It's a great soundtrack. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Last call. This is your chance. Let's sign some books.
Thank you all for logging on.
So to our friends online, we have posted links with which you may buy all 4 books. And tonight's event is made possible by the City Lights Foundation, continuing the legacy of our founder, the late Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Also, we are beaming to you from the ancestral homelands of the Ohlone people, also known as the San Francisco Bay Area. Thank you for joining us. Thank you both for being with us. And for those of you who are here, books can be bought over there. We're going to line everyone up along that wall, and then we're going to come over politely and take care, everyone. We'll see you soon.